Rain cut the city into silver lines the night a single father wrapped his thin jacket around a crying woman and changed the direction of his life without knowing it. His hands shook from cold and exhaustion, the kind that settles into bones after years of night shifts and unpaid overtime. Yet he did not hesitate. He was standing near the service entrance of a glass tower he cleaned every night, a place that glittered with wealth he only touched through fingerprints and reflections. The woman sat on the steps, shoulders folded inward, face hidden, tears falling freely as if the world had finally asked too much of her. He saw only a human being breaking in the rain, not the title she carried, not the power she owned, not the invisible distance between their lives. He stepped forward, took off the jacket he needed to survive the night, and placed it gently over her shoulders, believing kindness was the only thing he still had left to give. If you believe in kindness and second chances, take a moment right now to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel's Soul Tale, because stories like this live on the belief that small acts still matter. He was a single dad named Adam, a man who measured his days in alarm clocks and bus schedules, whose mornings began before sunrise and nights ended long after his daughter fell asleep clutching a book he read to her whenever his eyes could stay open. His wife had left years ago, worn down by poverty and promises that never came true, leaving him with a child, a stack of bills, and a quiet resolve to never let his daughter feel abandoned. He worked as a janitor for a massive corporation, the kind that sent emails about values and integrity while cutting benefits and freezing wages. Each evening, after cooking dinner from whatever was cheapest that week and helping with homework at the small kitchen table, he kissed his daughter goodnight and stepped back into the cold city. He cleaned floors that shone like mirrors, offices that smelled of expensive coffee, and conference rooms where decisions were made that never seemed to consider people like him. He was invisible by design, a background figure moving quietly so others could feel important. That night had been especially cruel. His paycheck was short again, his landlord had left another warning, and his daughter's school had sent a note about a field trip he could not afford. The weight of failing her pressed against his chest as he stepped outside for a moment of air. That was when he saw the woman on the steps, soaked, trembling, crying with the kind of grief that looks private but feels dangerously close to breaking. He did not ask questions, did not search for reasons, did not wonder why a woman dressed in elegance sat alone in the rain. He only remembered nights when he himself had cried in silence, so his daughter would never hear. Giving her his jacket felt natural, almost necessary, like breathing. He walked away afterward, colder than before, telling himself that at least for a moment he had done something right. Days passed and nothing changed. Adam continued cleaning the same halls, feeling the same ache in his back and the same worry in his heart. The woman became a fading memory, a small light in a long tunnel. Then one morning an unusual tension filled the building. Executives moved faster, managers whispered, and a company-wide meeting was announced. Adam stood at the back, mop in hand, prepared to disappear as usual. When the woman walked onto the stage, the room stilled. She was composed now, confident, her presence commanding attention without effort. She was introduced as the owner of the company, the leader whose vision shaped everything around them. Adam's breath caught painfully as recognition struck. This was the woman from the rain, the one who had cried on the steps, the one who had worn his jacket. As she spoke, Adam learned without words that her tears had come from betrayal at the highest level, from trusted partners who had tried to push her out of the very company she built. That night on the steps had been the lowest point of her life, a moment when success felt hollow and power useless. She spoke about responsibility, about seeing people beyond titles, about remembering the human cost of decisions. Her eyes moved through the room and rested on him, just for a second, long enough for him to feel exposed and small and seen all at once. He looked down, ashamed of his worn shoes, certain that his life and hers could never touch again. What followed unfolded slowly, not like a miracle but like healing. Policies changed, wages were reviewed, overtime was paid properly. A new program was introduced for employees struggling with family responsibilities. Adam felt the difference before he understood it, in the way his paycheck finally matched his hours, in the way managers started saying his name. One afternoon, he was called into an office he had only cleaned before. He stood there, heart pounding, expecting trouble. Instead, he was offered training, a chance to move into facilities management, a role that recognized his reliability and quiet leadership. It was not charity, it was opportunity, and it terrified him as much as it thrilled him. At home, his daughter noticed the change first. She saw it in his posture, in the way he smiled more easily in the evenings when he came home before she was asleep. They cooked together, laughed more, planned small dreams that no longer felt impossible. Adam never told her about the jacket or the woman in the rain. He carried that story privately, like a promise he had kept with himself. He understood then that kindness does not always who returns it, or how, but it has a way of moving through lives like a quiet current, reshaping things beneath the surface. Months later, as winter returned, Adam passed the steps where it had all begun. The city lights reflected off clean pavement and the air smelled sharp and new. He paused, remembering how close he had been to giving up, how close he had come to believing he did not matter. He realized that the jacket had been more than warmth. It had been proof that even when he felt powerless, he still had the ability to change something, even if only for a moment. That realization had given him strength long before his circumstances improved. If this story has touched your heart, if it reminded you of the power hidden in ordinary people, please take a moment near the end of this video to like, share, and subscribe to Soul Tale, because these stories exist to remind us who we can be. And before we close, leave a comment telling us whether you believe one small act can truly change a life, because your words might be the encouragement someone else needs today. Adam walked home that night with steady steps, the weight on his shoulders lighter than it had been in years. He knew struggles would come again, that life would never be simple, but he also knew this truth deep in his chest. Kindness given without expectation has a way of returning, not as a reward, but as a reminder that humanity still sees you.